If you're a beginner cyclist and want to be able to ride stronger, longer and more comfortably, then these 5 mistakes are going to be so important for you to avoid. These mistakes are the ones I see all the time and hold new riders back from making that all-important progress. Fixing just one of them could completely change how you feel on the bike. And do stick around till the last one, because that's the one that completely changed my riding, letting me actually enjoy those long rides instead of just struggling through them. But mistake number 1 is training too hard, too frequently. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because, of course, if you want to progress and improve your fitness and improve your power, you're going to need to train hard. But actually doing that too often will actually hamper your progress and mean you gain less fitness in the long run. Of course, when we head out on a ride, we want to enjoy ourselves, we want to feel like we've actually put some effort in, and maybe we're looking to improve our PBs on our local climbs on Strava, or looking to beat our friend down our local segment, which is brilliant. But what ends up happening is if we treat every ride as a hard ride and push ourselves all the time, is that fatigue gradually builds up and up and up, and even though we're recovering between rides, we're not recovering enough to be at our maximum capacity and allowed to push ourselves hard enough in each and every session. We've all potentially experienced it where we're pushing hard but we're just not quite going as quick as we normally would, or we just can't quite get our heart rate to where it needs to be or where it usually is. That's because fatigue's built up in the legs and we're just not able to push as hard as we should be able to. So what we need to do is focus on having some really hard rides, but then also focus on having some easy, more enjoyable rides too. So we should be really focusing as a beginner doing 1 or 2 hard sessions or hard rides per week. Any other rides should maybe be perhaps a little bit longer, but at an easy conversational pace. So if you were cycling next to someone, you could have a nice conversation, or if you're looking at measuring your heart rate, you want to be in zone 2, 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. This is going to ensure you have adequate time to recover and make sure those hard rides are hard and you can push things and improve your fitness, but then you have those enjoyable rides to recover and also just enjoy cycling as a whole as well. Mistake number 2 is not doing any strength, mobility or flexibility work. And I know this is an annoying one because a lot of people get into cycling because they of course enjoy riding a bike, and it's the same as a beginner. So why should you have to do extra strength and conditioning work? Why should you maybe have to go to the gym, although you don't have to do it at a gym? Why should you spend time doing exercise off the bike if you just want to get better on it? Well, there's so much evidence out there that suggests that if we do some strength work, do some mobility work and flexibility work, 1, we can improve our performance on the bike, but we can also decrease our risk of injuries. And of course, if you're a desk worker like me, for example, you're going to be getting on the bike after a day of being sat at the desk, another hunched over position. So there are going to be lots of niggles, lots of positions that you're perhaps not putting yourself in on a daily basis that some strength and mobility work could help you move through, that's going to help you feel better on the bike, loosen up those joints and activate those muscles we use whilst out on the road. Not to mention that after 30 years old, we generally just tend to lose muscle mass year on year anyway if we don't do any strength training to maintain it. So it's super, super important, especially after our 30s, to do some kind of strength work to maintain not only our power on the bike, but just also how well we function in our normal daily lives too. And of course, I'm a personal trainer and a coach and a cyclist, so strength training is kind of my jam. It's what I help people to do. So it's super, super important to me, but there are so many benefits to doing it. So getting some strength training in, even if it's just doing something whilst you're at home, twice a week is going to be really, really key, spread out across the week if possible, and making sure you're doing 2 to 3 sets of exercises, anywhere from 3 to 12 repetitions. Pick some lower body exercises, pick some upper body exercises, anything's better than nothing. And if you are looking for a super simple, easy to follow cycling specific workout to improve your riding, then do check out my Ride Strong workout in the description below. And training mistake number 3 is not actually a training mistake, but it impacts how we train and how we feel on the bike, and that's not getting a bike fit. And as a beginner, and I thought as a beginner, I can change the measurements of my bike, I can change the height of my handlebars, I can change the height of my seat and the angle of my seat to make sure that I'm in a good position. But our bikes are a symmetrical machine, if you like. As humans, we're not necessarily symmetrical. So as well as you think, and as well as I thought back when I was a beginner, that I can change the measurements on my bike to make sure it feels comfortable, we're not going to be getting a proper bike fit, not going to be making sure we're in the perfect riding position for us as individuals. So I'd thoroughly recommend you get a professional bike fit. I even recommend getting a bike fit to people before they've gotten a bike, Measure first and then buy later before buying something that you maybe can't fit yourself to perfectly. Not having a proper bike fit can increase your risk of injury and just make those long rides super uncomfortable, which of course nobody wants. It doesn't matter how strong or how mobile you are, if you're not in a perfect or proper position on the bike, you're going to be putting pressure on joints, on muscles, on tendons and ligaments, which means you're eventually going to have to take some time off training, which is obviously not what we want. So make sure you just have a quick Google of a bike fitter near you. You'll be able to take any measurements you receive from your bike fit and transfer those over to any bikes you use in future as well. So it's not just a pay once and have it on your current bike, it's going to be something you can use for years to come as well. The fourth mistake, and do stay tuned for the final mistake because that one will completely change how you feel on the bike, is not warming up thoroughly. And I know I can hear you, I don't have time to warm up, I just like to get on my bike, I warm up gradually on the bike, and then I can start pushing it hard. But actually doing a thorough warm up off the bike first is going to pay dividends once you start riding and once you start pushing hard. No matter your job, whether you're sat at the desk all day or whether you're a manual worker doing repetitive tasks all day, there are going to be some muscles that become weak and some muscles that become tight and some muscles that just completely switch off during your average working day. If you think you then can expect to get on the bike and everything can be working efficiently and smoothly and you'll be able to get the power down, then you've probably got another thing coming. Warming up efficiently, even for just 5 minutes before you hop on the bike, is going to mean that those muscles are switched on, you're able to adopt a nice position on the bike, things will be tracking nicely, and you're just going to be able to get the power down as you should be able to. Your joints will be lubricated, you'll be moving better, and you'll just feel better in yourself whilst you ride. You can actually have a 5-minute warm-up video, which I'll pop at the end of this one, which you can follow along to before you hop on your next ride. And the final mistake, and probably the biggest mistake of them all, is not fueling properly. This is a mistake that I made up until actually fairly recently, and is one that absolutely was a game changer, especially for those long rides, but even those shorter rides as well. I used to think, and many people think, that if you're having a breakfast, for example, before you head out on a ride, or maybe if you're having lunch straight after a ride, you're going to be able to cope just fine whilst you're on the bike. But actually, that's not the case, and because we can cycle for quite a while compared to, say, going to the gym or going on a run, we do actually need to fuel ourselves not only before and after a ride, but during as well. Because cycling is low impact and we can be on the bike for 1, 2, even 3 hours at the weekend, for example, we need to make sure we're fueling our muscles with extra carbohydrates as opposed to those carbohydrates we might be taking in around our cycling before and after. And along with those carbohydrates, it's so important to stay hydrated too. It only takes us to be dehydrated by around about 5% to see a 30% decrease in our performance. If you're going to be riding for around about an hour, maybe just over, then look to consume around about 30 grams of carbohydrates per hour for the hour. If you're going out for 1 to 2 hours, or maybe just over 2 hours, then look to consume anywhere between 30 and 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour whilst you're riding. And then if you're out for any longer than that, 3 hours plus, for example, then you're maybe looking to consume even up to 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour, maybe even more in some cases. You can of course consume specific cycling nutrition, such as gels, such as bars, such as powders you can pop in your bottle, or you can even make your own sports drink as well. I've got another video for that, making your own sports drink. I'll chuck that down in the description below as well. You can of course stop mid-ride as well and just stop for a coffee and cake at a local cafe, or even stop at a pub for a full pub lunch, whatever floats your boat, but getting in some kind of carbohydrates throughout your ride is going to be super important. It's going to help you perform well, it's going to help you not have the dreaded bonk, and if you haven't had that yet, then it's not something you want, but it's probably something we should all go through at some point. And it's just going to keep you feel fueled for your whole ride, so you can concentrate on enjoying your ride, you can concentrate on performing, as opposed to being worried about getting hungry and struggling to get home. Avoiding any one of these mistakes is going to pay dividends for your riding and your training moving forwards. It's going to help to reduce your risk of injury, help improve your performance, your recovery, and just generally how you feel on the bike. Do check out my cycling specific strength program in the description below, and if you're looking for a follow along 5-minute pre-ride powerful warm-up before your next ride, do check out this video here and give it a try. Ride strong, and I'll catch you in the next one.